Welcome back. In this session, we are going to explore the rate code.json file. Let me open up the file and talk you through. As you can see, it's a standard JSON file in which multiple JSON documents are grouped into JSON array. So this is slightly different to the payment type file we explored in the last couple of sessions. Because that file was a line delimited file. What that meant is we could read each of the lines and then we can process them. But in this case, each of the lines are not really valid, since as you can see, this one starts with a comma and then you've got a JSON structure. So we will have to read the entire file as one JSON string. So the first difference is we can't specify the row terminator as new line character. We'll have to specify the row terminator as the vertical tab so that it doesn't read each line separately and it'll read the entire file as a whole and as one JSON string. And the second thing is that we talked about two options to explore the JSON or pass the JSON. The first one is to use the JSON value function and the other one is to use the OPENJSON function as we saw in the previous session. If we use the JSON value function, we will have to specify the index within the array and then we can pull out the objects from this. We wouldn't want to do that because we got 6 elements within this array at the moment, but there could be more in the future. And also we wouldn't want to see each one of them as columns. We would want to see 6 records with 2 columns. And the columns are rate code ID and the rate code. So in order to get that, we'll have to use the OPENJSON function. So that's what we are going to do. Let's go over to Synapse Studio and start writing a SQL script. So I'm on scripts and then I'm going to create a new SQL script and call a 6_explore rate code, and let's go over to payment type. Because we can reuse some of the code from here, and let's pick the code which reads the data using OPENJSON. So that's this one, and then I'll come out and paste it. We need to make changes here, so I'm going to change the file name to rate code. And as we said, we have got the field terminated and field code here. We also need the row terminated to be the vertical tab. So let's do that. And now we got the JSON document. That's fine. I'm going to call this one as rate code and in the cross-apply parse in the JSON document. But from the JSON document, we'll have to read the column names. So now we need to specify the column names. Let's go over to the data and then copy the object names. So that's rate code ID and rate code. And we can specify this one as tiny and this one as potentially varchar 20 should be fine, I think, and let's give it a go. So I'm going to give that as rate code ID. We can change that to tiny and the rate code is going to be varchar 20 and we're not doing any renaming here. So let's do that. Let's take out that and we can specify the rate code in the select and the rate code ID in the select too. So that should do what we expect it to do. Let's run it and see what the outputs are. But before that we need to switch to our database, that is NYC_taxi discovery. Let's do that. Now let's run it. We've got the output and the output is as expected. So we got the 6 rate code with the rate code ID and the rate code. Let me change the order of the column. I will first put the rate code ID as first column, then I will display rate code. Now let's run it again. And you will notice that it changed the order. So if you wanted to rename any of these fields, for example, rate code to rate code description, you can just do that here and then you can use it. That was quite simple, but again, similar to the other file we saw with the arrays. If your data had any arrays, you will do another explode using another cross supply and then send a JSON string into that one. I want you to take away 2 things from this lesson. The first one is the row terminator. So in order to deal with standard JSON files, you'll have to override the new line character. And we're using the vertical tab here to override. And the second thing is, if you're dealing with standard JSON files, the best approach to parse the JSON using the OPENJSON rather than the JSON_value function. And that's the end of this session. I'll see you in the next one.